webinar on appreciating Bhakti music, Sangeeta Bhava Bodhini. And our special guest is Miss Aishwarya Srinivas, Srimati Aishwarya Srinivas. Thank you for joining us all early on this December 25th. I'm in Los Angeles. It's 9 a.m. over here. And thank you for joining Balaji from Atlanta, Diamond Bars over here, Toronto, quite a few people from India. Welcome everyone. Atulji from Michigan. Of course, we got Kalyan Vishwanathan, president of Hindu University of America. I think he's on the road. He'll give us a little update. So again, thank you for joining us. We had over 190 people registered for this webinar. We have just about 60 already on with us. So let me get into it. In the Hindu spiritual traditions, Bhakti is considered to be one of the main paths of yoga, with Sri Krishna allocating the entire chapter 12, the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, to the subject of Bhakti yoga. And one of the ways Bhakti manifests within the Hindu world is through the traditions of Bhakti Sangeeta. So in this webinar, we're gonna have, sorry about this, talented artist Aishwarya Srinivas is going to introduce a course that offers an immersive exploration of the world of Bhakti music across multiple Indian languages by focusing on the language, lyrics, and meaning of the Bhakti compositions from various genres. So with that, let me give our talented artist a little introduction. So Aishwarya ji has performed prestigious sabhas all over India and has over 1,000 concerts to her credit, and is a regular performer in the December music season in Chennai. In addition, she has a brilliant academic record to her credit with proficiency prizes for commerce and Sanskrit for 3 years in succession from Stella Maris College in Chennai. She's also qualified chartered accountant and certified information systems auditor, multi-talented, a different kind of triple threat. Aishwarya ji has been engaged and inspired by Carnatic music since her childhood, and was born into a family of ardent Carnatic music rashikas. And after being trained for over 12 years under Sangeeta Kalinidhi, Srimati D.K. Patamal, and a lot of other acharyas and professionals and musicians, maybe she'll get into in this webinar. I don't want to butcher everyone's name. But she's earned awards, she's traveled the world, and we're glad to have her at Hindu University of America teaching a course and joining us today for this webinar. So without further ado, let me hand it over to Kalyanji, who will give us maybe some broader context on what we are doing here today, and then we'll get our featured guest to get into the Bhakti music with us. Kalyanji, off to you.
Wonderful, wonderful, great. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for joining. I know it's Christmas Day and naturally a holiday. I just want to begin by saying Merry Christmas to everybody. See, from the Hindu standpoint, Christianity is a Bhakti tradition. You know, and Hindus have no issues about a sampradaya, a Christian sampradaya, with its own framework of devotion, of bhakti, of worship, its own traditions of practice, its many flavors, you know, denominations, which have all emerged in the wake of many thousands of years since the time of Jesus Christ. So as a Bhakti tradition, it is certainly worth acknowledging and celebrating. Now, where the problem comes is when they insist that their tradition alone is the true tradition and all others are false traditions. And therefore, that creates a little bit of a stress on the rest of the world, as world history has demonstrated. Now, having said that, we want to get into the Bhakti musical traditions today. And let me begin by asking Aishwarya ji a question. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved in bhakti music? You know, what led you to it? What is your own life journey and how it brought you to bhakti music?
Thank you, Kalyanji. First of all, I'd like to thank HUA and your team for inviting me to be a part of the wonderful work that you're doing in promoting Hinduism, specifically in the US and all over the world, through your flagship programs, leaving no stone unturned to reach out and to do our bit in taking our traditions forward. I'm very happy to be a part of this, and I should say I have been really, really blessed and lucky to have been born into a family that greatly reveres and respects our traditions. My family traces back its lineage to Appaya Dikshitar, one of the most celebrated philosophers of the Advaita tradition. He was both a Sanskrit scholar, he was a preacher, he was a philosopher. A lot of his works have been researched by even Western philosophers. To this day, they are finding more and more to learn from and to glean from his works. So to have been born in such a family and to have had the privilege of being exposed to all the beautiful works of our acharyas from a very young age, it was more a way of life rather than something that that is external or something that is that has to be learned or something like that. So this was more a way of life, and my interest in bhakti and in our traditions and bhakti sangeeta especially uh, grew by leaps and bounds when by divine providence again that I came under the tutelage of my guru Srimati D.K. Patamal, Padma Vibhushan Srimati D.K. Patamal. Um, she was a legendary musician in her own right, having performed at some of the most prestigious venues across the world. Also, this was something that I was able to witness firsthand, and I would say this appealed to me more than um, you know uh, more than even the music. So it was the bhakti and the bhakti shraddha of the person that she was, that that she put into whatever she did. So be it so right from the time she woke up in the morning, she would be doing the japam, she would be doing Kamakshi japam because she was from Kanchipuram. She would of course, whenever she sang, it was all about the Hindu deities, the gods, goddesses. And it was not just that that attitude of belonging to a parampara or a structured regimen. It was more of a way of life that she imbibed, and to say good things, to be magnanimous enough to bless all those who came to visit her. I joined her tutelage as a 10 or 11-year-old, and at that time, pretty much, I had very little exposure to the ways of the world. And for a little child of that age to be exposed to such a great person who was not just, who was basically a Nada yogi. She all her life she had spent doing music, doing bhakti music, almost like a tapasya. And for me to have witnessed this firsthand, I would say, really influenced me in a very significant manner. And to this day, how I go about every single thing, be it my concerts, be it my daily life, um, everything has been influenced by how I saw her. And it was more like she was this person who was so kind, so magnanimous, so endearing. And the bhakti that she believed in, the shraddha that she believed in, got transmitted so without much effort. And I owe it all to my parents and my gurus to have been such strong influence on my life. And to this day, because for the longest time, almost like when you're born into a family which teaches you all these things, it's like you sometimes tend to take it for granted. You think this is what everybody gets. But when you grow up and when you look around and you see people of your own generation finding it hard to deal with the ways of the world, or to falling back when there's the slightest challenge, and finding what you tend to take for granted, finding that to be something really daunting, you realize, oh my god, so I have been really lucky to have been taught these things right from a very young age, and to inculcate these as a way of life. So, yeah, it's been more a way of life than anything else, and I
Right.
really owe it to my parents and my gurus for that.
Wonderful. Great, Aishwarya ji. So that was a very, touching and moving tribute to your teacher, your guru. And it's very, very evident how much you've been influenced by Padma Vibhushan, Srimati D.K. Patamal. Okay, now I want to move in a different direction. So your musical journey has taken you into the world of Bhakti music. Now, even though you're trained in the Carnatic South Indian tradition, you've also been exposed to other musical traditions in India as well. Tell us a little bit about your whole journey in that regard.
So, even though as a as a person from a sampradaya or a parampara that mainly focused on the traditional works and treatises, Carnatic Sangeetam has always been very progressive and very accepting of all the closer genres that existed in India, during its times. And as a performing artist, I have always been intrigued and excited to take on more from the other genres, like folk music, like Hindustani music, like Dasa Sahitya. So I should say Carnatic music and musicians have been very progressive and accepting of all other genres, and Bhakti music more so, because um, it is, so we believe as Carnatic musicians that Bhakti music is what led to uh, Carnatic music. So we have our origins in the Bhakti music, in the Devarams, Tirupugal, the Pashurams, and then moving on, we have from Andhra Pradesh, we have Bhadrachala Ramadasu, we have Annamaya. All these composers have been the forerunners for what we call Carnatic music today. And moving up further north, we have had Tukaram, we have had Nyandev, Surdas, their bhajans, Mirabai. I should say, when we call it Bhakti music, it is because it is an all-encompassing genre, because it involves, it includes any kind of music that has Bhakti as at its core, more than the technique or the rigor of performing it. So yeah, all the traditions, all the Indian music traditions have had their own beauties and treasures that are waiting to be explored. And even my own guru had a repertoire that could, that encompassed over thousands of songs. And I have been bequeathed a lot of those. And in addition to that, my own learnings from different gurus. For example, from Padma Bhushan Sri R.K. Srikanthan, I had the privilege of learning a lot of Dasa Sahityams of Purandara Dasa, Vyasarayuru, a lot of Kannada composers. And then out of my own interest, I had the opportunity to learn a lot of Meera bhajans, abhangs, Marathi abhangs, and then also even Rabindra Sangeet. So even so, Dr. Balamurali Krishna, whom I had the privilege of training from for a long time. That again was a very fortuitous association, because so his daughter happened to visit me at during our annual celebrations at school, and when I had sung Maitrim Bhajata, and his daughter came up to me after the program and said, would you like to come home and meet my father? I didn't know who she was. I didn't know she was Balamudi Krishna's Garu's daughter, but she mentioned, and I said, wow, and why not? And so when I visited, he said, uh, so it's more of how, as a person, as a human being, there are all these art forms around you, and when someone who has drunk from those treasures is able to enjoy that kind of music and that kind of blissful existence from that, when you meet such people, I think it kind of rubs on to you, and that way, so even Rabindra Sangeet, I have been privileged to learn a couple of works from Balamurali Krishna Garu, and it's so that way, I would say it has been wonderful journey to learn from and to learn all these different works belonging to different traditions all over India, and to understand the mind of the composers and what led them to composing the works the way they did.
Okay, wonderful. Great. So why don't you give us an example of a bhakti composition from any part of India which you think is appropriate?
So whenever we think of bhakti, we are immediately reminded of the episode in Gajendra Moksham, which our Bhagavatam talks about in great detail. So I'd like to present this Surdas Bhajan, which elucidates more about the Gajendra Moksham episode in his own style. Hey Govind, hey Gopal, hey Govind, hey Gopal, hey Govind, hey Gopal, hey Govind, rakho sharan ab to जीवन हारी हे गोविंद हे गोपाल हे गोविंद राखो शरण अब तो जीवन हारे हे गोविंद हे गोपाल हे गोविंद राखो शरण अब तो जीवन हारे. नीर पीबन हेतु गयो सिंधु के किनारे. नीर पीबन हेतु गयो सिंधु के किनारे. सिंधु बीच बसत ग्राह, सिंधु बीच बसत ग्राह, सिंधु बीच बसत ग्राह. चरण धरी पचारे, चरण धरी पचारे. हे गोविंद हे गोपाल हे गोविंद लाखों शरण अब तो जीवन हारी.
Wonderful. Great. Excellent. That is the, if I'm not mistaken, that is the Desh Raga, right?
Yes, that is.
Okay, wonderful. All right, great. Now that song, I mean, do you follow the, do you understand the meaning of the lyrics? I mean, how do
Yes.
you, yeah.
Absolutely. So, Neer Piban He to Gayo Sindhu ke Kinare, the elephant, the Gajraj, went to the banks of the river and to quench his thirst. But at that time, he got caught by the crocodile, and he immediately, and the struggle, the battle goes on for 4 hours. Surdas mentions, Char Prahara, and at the end of 4 hours, so he cries out to the Lord, Govinda. And at that time, it happens that the sound of his cry reaches Dwaraka, where Krishna is residing. And the moment he hears the cry for help from Gajendra, he he rushes on Garuda, and he says, he slays the crocodile, and he says, "You are mine. You don't have to worry. I'm going to, take care of you." So, Sur kahe shyam suno, and so this has been the, all pervading theme across all musical traditions of India, and I find that to be one of the greatest claims that Indian music has over, every other music of the world, that it places bhakti and something beyond us, beyond our worldly life, as the sole purpose and the main object of music. Unlike all the other music traditions, which probably describe weather or human emotions or stuff like that. So to place bhakti and to place devotion as highest of all is, I would say, the greatest thing about Carnatic music, about Indian music.
In general. Okay, wonderful. So now, when you're dealing with bhakti music from different parts of India, you obviously they are in different languages. There is, of course, you have taken a program in Sanskrit, right? You've done 3 years of Sanskrit, is it? Am I correct?
Yes, so I studied Sanskrit as my second language at school. I also went on to study Sanskrit further at university level. I was also the university rank holder in Sanskrit. Kalidasa's works, Bhartrihari, a lot of those works. I mean, it has been a natural interest and inclination to explore, and I think being a musician and learning languages more so with Sanskrit, because a lot of Indian languages trace their roots back to Sanskrit, and they kind of complement each other. So knowledge of Sanskrit and knowledge of other languages complement knowledge of music itself, and it helps us understand and emote, and to also be able to transfer that feeling of bliss and ananda to the listeners. So that is what elevates the concert experience.
Yeah. So now, so in order to really fully appreciate the lyrics, the bhajans, the meaning of the words, and so on, you had to learn many other languages. So, how did you become interested in picking up so many languages as you have picked up in your career so far?
Yeah, so, and I should, here again give the credits due to my gurus, because they have been, great inspirations for me, because, when my guru rendered a song in Hindi, she would learn up all the, references in the language and about the composer, about, the kind of language. So even when we say Hindi, the kind of Hindi that was used during the times of, say, Goswami Tulsidas is kind of different from what is being spoken now. So to be able to understand the dialect, dialect and the pronunciation of certain words has been greatly appreciated even as a musician. And my guru was very, very keen about that, and she was very adept at that. And seeing her, I've also imbibed that quality, I believe. And that apart, I have also had the experiences of associating with different kinds of people, being a musician, traveling musician, to be able to converse in different languages. For example, when I go to Andhra Pradesh to perform, to be able to converse with them, to be able to understand what they say, and to be able to communicate what we are trying to sing as a musician. I guess it is very useful to learn all the other languages. So Telugu, Kannada. I've had a brief period of stay in Bangalore, during which I picked up a lot of Kannada. um, I would say that there is something really very beautiful about Indian languages, that to a large extent they are very intuitive, and you know knowledge of one language kind of puts you in a better position to learn any other Indian language. So yeah, I have been very fortunate that way, to have associations with people who speak different Indian languages, and have been able to pick up from all of them.
Wonderful, great. So why don't we go to another bhajan, an example from another tradition in India.
So this is interesting. So this is a Eknath Abhang in Marathi. He says, just like even for a married woman, her mother's home is very dear, and that is kind of her own, rather than the home she has built. So he says, so Pandharipur is like that for me. It's like my own place, and that is where I'm drawn to all the time. So this is a abhang popularized by Pandit Bhimsen Joshi. माझे माहेर पंढरी आहे भिवरेच्या तीरी. माझे माहेर, माझे माहेर, माझे माहेर, माझे माहेर पंढरी आहे भिवरेच्या तीरी. माझे माहेर, माझे माहेर, माझे माहेर, माझे माहेर, माझे माहेर, माझे माहेर पंढरी आहे भिवरेच्या तीरी. बाप आणि आई, बाप आणि आई, माझे विठ्ठल रखुमाई, माझे विठ्ठल रखुमाई. माझे माहेर, माझे माहेर, माझे माहेर, माझे माहेर पंढरी आहे भिवरेच्या तीरी.
Great, wonderful. If I'm not mistaken, that was Raga Mand, right? Mand.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. But I'm still remembering a little bit of my music, so that's good. Wonderful. So now let us talk a little bit about your course. So this course is titled Appreciating Bhakti Music, Sangeeta Bhava Bodhini. So tell us a little bit about your course.
So, as a Carnatic musician, I've always been singing Bhakti music, but I should say the last 2 years during the pandemic, I have had immeasurable response from listeners and music lovers about how much for example, even my own bhakti music has helped them tide over this very difficult time. And I should say that resonated a lot with me because I realized how lucky I was to be a musician, to be in this, bubble of being able to practice my own music, to be able to create music, to be able to share it with music lovers and keep this going even during such difficult times when the entire world was, uh, put to a lot of difficulty. So I realized the power of bhakti music, and I definitely wanted to take this forward. And I truly believe that music is, and more so bhakti music, is something that everybody should be able to access and enjoy and appreciate, irrespective of what their backgrounds have been, what their um, you know knowledge of something is. And just from the point of view of how much it enhances someone's way of life, how much it enhances the life experiences of a person. So this course is more intended as something that is open for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds, irrespective of whether they have been exposed to um, Carnatic music or any other form of music. I would say the only prerequisite, the most important prerequisite, and the only prerequisite would be an interest to learn and understand and appreciate the works of the great composers. Be it dancers from different traditions who would like to understand these works so as to be able to emote better, be it people who have been listening to music for all along but have not been able to learn music from a guru, who would like to get a glimpse of some of these compositions, learn these compositions, learn to sing, and also appreciate and take home the learnings about the lives of these composers, what led them to compose these works. I would say this course is open for anyone who has the interest um, to understand and appreciate the works of these great composers.
Wonderful. Great. So, in terms of the structuring of the course, you're going to, are you going to pick up in each session? Are you going to pick up a different composition from a different part of India, from a different genre, different era, etc.? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So since we would like to comprehensively provide as much as possible a glimpse into the works of composers from all over India, we have compositions in Kannada, Telugu, Sanskritam, of course, Tamil, Hindi, Marathi. So we've tried to cover as many languages as possible, and over all these sessions, we would be learning to sing and appreciate both the language and the musical aspects and the philosophical aspects of these compositions.
Okay, wonderful. Wait, what about Bengali? Anything in Bengali? Or?
Uh, yeah, I mean, so why not? So we
Why not?
can.
Okay. Okay, great. So let's maybe have one more example from a different part of India, if you don't mind. In the meantime, I'd like to encourage the audience to put your questions in the Q&A box if you have any, please. We'll pick up some questions to answer.
So this time I'm going to be playing a song. This is one of my favorite compositions. I'm thinking it will also be many of your favorites too. So with your permission, I will be sharing my screen.
Okay. Wonderful, please. By the way, there are some requests from the chat window for singing specific songs. You have to share sound, okay?
Yeah.
So, Aishwarya ji, we are not able to hear the sound, okay? You have to share sound.
Oh, yeah. कृपालु भज मन हरण भव भयदारुणं श्रीराम 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 भज दीन बंधु दीनेश दानव दैत्य वंश निकंदनं रघुनंदन आनंद कंद कोसल चंद्र दशरथ नंदनं श्रीरामचंद्र कृपालु भज मन हरण भव भयदारुणं श्रीराम 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 श्रीराम. Yeah.
Wonderful. Great. Excellent. So let's take one question. Somebody is asking, Arpana Shah is asking, do you need to be good in singing already to take your course? That's the question.
So, like I said, we intend for this course to be open to lot more people who have not had the access already, because I believe that bhakti music is something that can elevate the life experience of anyone who has been able to access it. So, and I believe it should be able to it should be accessible to a lot more people than it is at this time. And so, towards that, to answer your question, yes, you don't need to have any prior experience of learning music. You don't need to be good at singing already. If you have the interest to learn, to sing, to appreciate, to understand the works of these composers, that is good enough.
Okay. Great. So, if somebody just wants to start singing bhakti songs, they can definitely join, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And if somebody just wants to enjoy listening to music and understand the words and just learn to appreciate the bhakti music traditions of various parts of India, they can also join the course, right?
Definitely.
Okay. They may not really want to sing, but they want to appreciate and learn and
Yes,
hear and
yes.
listen and understand.
Exactly.
Yeah, great. Excellent. All right. Wonderful. So here is another question. Yeah, between Raga Bhavam and Sahitya Tatparyam, which according to you plays the greater role in manifesting the Bhakti Bhava, the Bhakti Bhavam? Anonymous attendee. I usually don't take questions from anonymous attendee, but I like the question sufficiently, so I'm taking that.
Absolutely. So, great question first. So, Mahakavi Kalidasa says, Vagarthaviva samprithau Vagartha pratipathaye Jagatah pitarau vande Parvati Parameshwarau. So he says, just like how the meaning of something cannot be looked at as more or less important than the words themselves, such is the importance of Parvati and Parameshwara. They are both required, they are both important, they are both as important as each other for the world to exist. And just the same way, Sahitya and Sangeeta are to be understood, appreciated, and looked at with equal importance in order to be able to enjoy the blissful Ananda. I believe so.
Okay, great. So it's like you cannot separate the two, the Parvati and Parameshwara.
Right.
Okay, wonderful, great. All right, can we, let me ask you, can we do one more song, one more from a different part of India?
So this is an interesting composition of Sri Purandara Dasa. There are a lot of his famous compositions, Baro Krishnaya, Krishnani Begane Baro, and a lot of these compositions. But this is one particular interesting composition where he talks of Sri Rama Bhakti as a payasam that has to be made and relished. So he goes on to give the recipe of how to make the Ramanama Payasake, the payasam, that the sweet dish that is Ramanama. Ramanama Payasake Krishna Nama Sakare Ramanama Payasake Krishna Nama Sakare Vithala Nama Tupava Kalasibai Jabari Siro Ramanama Payasake Krishna Nama Sakare Vithala Nama Tupava Kalasibai Jabari Siro Ommana Godiya Tandu Vairagya Kallali Bisi Ommana Godiya Tandu Vairagya Kallali Bisi Summana Sajige Tegaru Gamma Shavige Hosedu Ramanama Payasake Krishna Nama Sakare Vithala Nama Tupava Kalasibai Jabari Siro. So all over the charanas he goes on to give the ingredients. Godiya Tandu, take the wheat, which is basically the Rama Bhakti, and then shatter your ego. Basically, he compares the ego of self to to crushing the green gram in the kallu, the mortar, and so crush your ego, use Rama Bhakti, and boil it in the pot, which is basically Hridaya Vimbo, and that's how you get the Ramanama Payasa.
Great, terrific. So, these bhakti musical compositions, not only are they in praise of certain deities and gods and goddesses and so on, not only are they sometimes telling a story, but they also contain very deep philosophical, spiritual insights, right? So, tell us a little bit more about how you have learned to appreciate and imbibe those philosophical.
Definitely. So, like I said, I was hardly 10 or 11 years old when I was exposed to these works. For example, of Neelakanta Shivan when he sang Indraikku Shivakripai Varumo. So when my guru used to sing that, of course I knew Tamil, but not to such my knowledge of worldly ways was not of, was not so much that I could understand what, Neelakanta Shivan meant when he said, don't be enamored by the people, by the people surrounding you, by the wealth, by the riches, by the fame, but always try to strive for something more than that. So these are all very high philosophical truths that even at an old age some people are not able to appreciate. But I would say music provides us that bridge, irrespective of how old someone is, how much knowledge they have of the scriptures or anything like that. They are so by the bhavam that the musician is able to bring to the music, they are able to it's like feeling the taste of food even without having to cook. yourself or having to know the recipe. So it's just like that. And I would say a lot of Indian saints have made that bridge to be able to access the higher truths by not really, so like Adi Shankaracharya says, Bhaja Govindam Mudhamate. So you don't have to really, learn languages or to learn, the highest, the most complex scriptures, or to learn the complexities of music. But if you are able to bring the bhakti in your mind, to place the Lord and to place your thoughts on the Lord and all that surrounds Him, then you will be definitely able to access the higher truths even without treading the arduous path of learning all these complex things. Sadashiva Brahmendra, one of the greatest philosophers of the Advaita tradition, has composed a lot of works which talk to us about these philosophies in a very simple way. One very famous composition is Manasa Sancharare. So he says, think of the Brahma. So here Brahma, he means the creator, that is Krishna. Manasa Sancharare Brahmani Manasa Sancharare Brahmani Manasa Sancharare Brahmani Manasa Sancharare Madashiki Pinjalankrita Chikure Madashiki Pinjalankrita Chikure Mahaniya Kapola Vijita Mukure Manasa Sancharare. So, Pibare Ramarasam, a lot of these bring to us the higher truths of life in a very simple way, so as to be appreciated by one and all, rather than going through the arduous path of trying to master, the complex things.
Okay, wonderful. So in your classes then, students will be able to really appreciate the lyrics, the meanings of the songs and so on, right? That is the idea.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Wonderful. All right, here's another question from the audience. What sort of homework and assignments will you be giving the students?
So the homework would be basically to go back and see for yourself whether you have been able to assimilate all that was discussed in class, and find references in other music or other works that you find you are able to understand better because of what was discussed in class. So that will be the greatest take home from this course, because as participants of this course, I would be really happy if you're able to learn how to appreciate these works and to be able to look for the right things, in terms of the right pronunciation, the right sahitya bhava, the right how the music and the sahityam goes together in order to elevate the experience of the work as a whole. And if you're able to draw references from what we have discussed in the course to what you see outside of it, and come back and discuss it with the rest of the class, that would be great.
Okay, terrific. So here's another question. When it comes to tuning songs which have not been tuned by the original composer, like say Annamaya, what is the relation between Raga Bhavam and Sahitya? A very technical question.
No, so like I said, music in our culture has not been looked at as something that's very technical, that is far removed from the one's way of life or bhakti itself. So be it Nedinuri Krishnamurti Garu, who was the Vagekara who set to tune a lot of Annamaya's compositions, be it my guru Dr. R.K. Srikanthan, who set to tune a lot of Dasara Padas. The very famous Narayana Ninna Nama in Shuddha Dhanyasi was tuned by my guru Padma Bhushan Sri R.K. Srikanthan. A lot of these compositions stand out today in the minds of the listeners because of the coming together of the Sahitya Bhava and the Sangeeta. And I would humbly like to acknowledge that this is, unparalleled, because it cannot be explained in words, but it has to happen. And all these composers, all these great legendary musicians have themselves admitted to the fact that it is not their prowess or their skill that made this happen, but divine providence, because it is what you call X factor, or something like that. So it cannot be described in words, but when these two come together by the grace of the Lord, then it stands out as a gem.
Yeah, wonderful, great, terrific. So Ellen is asking a question: will all the bhajans be in Sanskrit, or will some be in other languages? Well, I think that's been answered. It'll be in many different languages. Yeah. Okay. And now I just want to invite all the participants in the webinar to please answer the poll questions. Even just answer the question. It'll take you 5 seconds to do it. So please, 10 seconds at the most. Okay, so Aishwarya ji, let's hear one more song from a different part of India. Your choice.
Yeah, so this is a composition of Sri Tyagaraja Swami. Here again, I would like to mention that he is considered, the Trinity composers of Carnatic music are considered the Trinity, not because they were, great composers of literary works, not because of their religious or philosophical affiliations, but because of the coming together of their music and their bhakti, which stood out as a whole. And Tyagaraja Swami was definitely one of the foremost among them. And this composition is a great example of how he prays to Rama so he requests Rama that he wants to be the guard of Rama, to be the one protecting, the one who is waiting on him at his sannidhi at all times. He says the Kama, Krodha, Madamatsarya are are the entities that I need to destroy, and so I need the Rama Nama Khadga, which is the sword, and I want to be able to vanquish all these entities by using the Rama Nama sword, and knowing for myself that I have this badge, that I have been appointed by you, by Sri Rama, as the guard of your sannidhi. Rama Nama Mane Rama Nama Mane Barakadgami Rama Nama Mane Barakadgami Rama Nama Mane Barakadgami Rama Nama Mane Barakadgami Virajillunaya Tyagaraja Nike Rama Nama Mane Barakadgami Virajillunaya Tyagaraja Nike Banturiti Kono Viyavaya Rama Banturiti Kono Viyavaya Rama Banturiti Kono Viyavaya Rama Rama
Excellent. Great. So, I think we've had a very good set of bhajans. Yeah, there is a question. If you join the course, can we get recordings? Yeah. So, if the time of the class won't work for me, Aishwarya ji, what is the time of the class? And Ankur, can you put the link to the course as well on the chat window, please? So, what time is your class, Aishwarya ji?
So it's on Wednesdays, 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. EST.
Yeah, and we'll go for about an hour and a half.
Yes. So it will be 1 hour of class duration followed by questions and any discussions that the class would like to um, discuss.
Great, excellent. All right. Uh, yeah, certainly you will get recordings. All the classes are recorded and placed in the learning management system. So you'll be able to access the recordings, definitely. Okay, there is another question here. Somebody's asking for a very specific bhajan in the chat window. I don't know if you can oblige them on this one. This is I think it is a bhajan by D.K. Patamal.
Which one's that?
Let me see, I'm just trying to locate it in the chat. Yeah, Shamala Dandakam.
Yeah, I can
By,
sing a couple of verses from
yeah,
that.
please, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
माणिक्यवीणामुपलालयन्तीं मदालसां मञ्जुळवाग्विलासां माहेन्द्रनीलद्युतिकोमलाङ्गीं मातङ्गकन्यां मनसा स्मरामि चतुर्भुजे चन्द्रकलावतंसे कुचोन्नते कुङ्कुमरागशोणे पुण्ड्रेक्षुपाशाङ्कुशपुष्पबाणहस्ते नमस्ते जगदेकमातः मातामरकतश्यामा मातङ्गीं मदशालिनीं कुर्यात् कटाक्षं कल्याणी कदम्बवनवासिनी जय मातङ्गतनये जय नीलोत्पलद्युते जय सङ्गीतरसिके जय सङ्गीतरसिके जय लीलाशुकप्रिये
Great, fantastic, wonderful. So for all the participants, I just want to say, we have $100 discount if you register in the next 2 days. So please take advantage of it and register quickly into this course and enjoy 10, 11 sessions with Srimati Aishwarya Srinivas, who clearly is going to bring the blessing of her guru to the course. And frankly, I am very moved and touched by Aishwarya ji's relationship with her guru. It is a great blessing to have a guru in one's life. And for those of you who don't have one, I can tell you, you don't know what you're missing. You have no idea what you're missing when you don't have a guru. And I was also lucky to have a guru. It was Puja Swami Dayanand Saraswati, and Aishwarya's relationship with D.K. Patamal is bringing home to me the importance, significance, the depth, the meaning, and the profundity of a relationship between a guru and a sishya. And that relationship has really sustained Sanatana Dharma across the eons of time, during adversity and during tremendous distress. And I think if you choose to participate in this course, you will definitely be uniquely impacted by the Guru Sishya relationship, the devotion that Aishwarya ji is representing towards her own teacher and Guru. Okay, so great, fantastic. Aishwarya ji, thank you for joining, and everybody, thank you for joining today. We'll end on this note. Please do take advantage of the course, and we'll see you again in the future webinar. Namaskar, thank you, bye-bye. Yeah, please check out the Ankur. Put the link again in the chat window. People who want to know about the course can click on the link and get to the course page. All the other details are in the course page. Okay, Ankur, one more time. Can you put the link on the chat window, please? There you go. There is a link. Everybody just click on that link, and then you have all the details. You know, you can at your leisure look at the course, look at the details, and so on and so forth. Okay, with that, I want to thank everybody. Have a wonderful Christmas day, and we'll see you in the future at a future webinar. Namaste, everybody. Thank you.